like to ask our governing board president, Christine Pritchard, who will administer the oath of office, to come up forward. And we'd also like to ask Ms. Dawn Densmore, who has won re-election and will continue on our board, to come forward to be sworn in, as well as Ms. Jennifer Drake. Would you come on up, Ms. Drake, as well? All right, and we're going to need you to talk into the mic. You feel okay with that, or you want me to hold stuff, or are you okay without the mic? I agree with that statement. So, are you good?
Yeah, I'm
okay,
good.
very good. Then let me get out of the way.
Article 4, Oath of Office 38-231. Officers and employees required to take loyalty oath, form, classification. As Governing Board President, I will administer the oath of office to Dawn Densmore and Jennifer Drake. At the conclusion of the swearing-in, Louisa Brown, attesting officer, will give further instructions to Governing Board members regarding the signing of the oath of office document and provide notary services. Ryan McGinley will take photos during the event to post to the website. So before we get started, I have something for each of you. Oh, thank you. And they're roses, and when we first look at roses, we just note how beautiful they are, which, like the two of you. But we always look at the top part of it again. But roses are hardy, and again, our eye initially goes to the bud, and in this instance, it's white. White represents purity. And for the two of you, I just felt it was fitting because your intentions, your vision is always so pure, whether it be advocating for parent rights, students, school choice, academic achievement, all that you've advocated for, it's coming from a place of purity in your heart. And I've always recognized that for both of you, and I just so appreciate that. And then equally as beautiful, but I don't think people typically see it as beautiful, as the stem of the rose. There's thorns on it, and some people don't really necessarily recognize that as something of quality or value or beauty. But as you'll see, the stem of a rose is very firm and hardy and strong and not easily broken. And the thorns symbolize adversity. And the two of you have had to face a lot of adversity over this election cycle, and you've done so with grace. And your firm values just helped you continue to persevere through all you've had to endure, and it just adds to the overall beauty of both of you. So please keep that as a gift. And with that, we will continue on with our ceremony. Okay, so at this time, I call forward Dawn Densmore. Before any officer enters upon the duties of the officer shall take and prescribe to the following oath or affirmation. I will read the oath of office in sections and then pause to allow you to repeat out loud the section just read. I, Dawn Densmore, do solemnly swear.
I, Dawn Densmore, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Arizona.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
And defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties.
That I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of the office of Governing Board Member for Dysart Unified School District number 89.
Of Governing Board Member of Dysart Unified School District number 89.
According to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
According to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
All right, thank you. Now at this time, I call forward Jennifer Drake. And again, before any officer enters upon the duties of office, the officer shall take and subscribe to the following oath or affirmation. I will read the oath of office in sections and then pause to allow you to repeat out loud the section just read. I, Jennifer Drake, do solemnly swear.
I, Jennifer Drake, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona.
I will support the United States Constitution and the Arizona State Constitution.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
I bear truth to religious and the same.
And defend them against all enemies.
Defend all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic.
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Governing Board Member
the duties of the office of the Governing Board Member
for Dysart Unified School District Number 89,
Dysart School District Number 89,
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations, both of you.
Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Dysart Unified School District Governing Board to order. Let the record reflect that all board members are present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We'll go ahead and start with our public hearing. Public hearing for fiscal year 2022-2023 expenditure budget revision. Dr. Dean?
Madam President, members of the governing board, members of cabinet, and our community, this evening, Mr. Hicks will present information regarding our budget revision required by law as part of the public hearing. Mr. Hicks.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Dean, colleagues, and community members. I am before you to present our revised expenditure budget number 2. First of all, you know that I don't do all the work, or maybe you do know that I don't do all the work, but there's a great team that works on all of this, and they're led by Miss Marydell Spidell. Thank you very much. And she has a great team, and I just want to thank her and her team for continuing their great work and helping to make me look good. Before I go through the presentation, I'd just like to say a few remarks. This revision is a little different than most. We aren't perfect with our projections, but projecting this year, we projected a little bit of growth, but actually having a little bit of decline actually has a compounding effect and makes it feel a little bit different. So I feel a little compelled to say a few more words. Budget revisions are mainly focused on the revenue side, but obviously they include adjustments to the expenditures too. The 3 main reasons why we have our budget revisions are, 1, because we actually revised based on our actual carry forward after we finish our AFR, which was done in October. Adjustments to the current year student count because we are current year funded in a lot of funds and formulas, but then also adjustments to the previous year funding, which we have some of our funding formulas and streams are also predicated upon our previous year funding amount. All 3 of those occurred in this revision. And as a board, you're fully aware that we're constantly battling the inflation pressures, the supply chain challenges, and the labor issues just in general that are putting pressures on our budget. Our process in its basic form that we've been using for over a decade begins about 7 months before the year begins. We use demographic reports, projections, current year data. We apply our staffing ratios. We then have projected staffing numbers. Our staff is roughly about 80% of our M&O budget, and if you include outsourcing, it's probably closer to 85%. Once our staffing is set, we don't forget about it, and as Superintendent Dr. Dean says, as good teachers do, we always monitor and adjust, and that's what we do throughout the whole year. I can't say that there's been a week that we don't look at our enrollment numbers and our staffing every single week in cabinet as we're going through the year. The adopted budget included contingent positions. So we did have growth in there. We put some contingent positions. So these positions were eliminated. We then looked at our staffing based on our class size guidelines, and it was clear that we had some excess positions and they were vacant. So we worked with the principals, Dr. Poling and such worked with our principals, talking with them, and then where appropriate, we eliminated those excess positions. So as the board knows, Superintendent Dr. Dean also had HR freeze some positions at the district level to also guard against some of the inflation and also some reductions in our enrollment. So although we are here to revise our budget, and I'll be going through the numbers, I just wanted to let you know that we're constantly looking at it. We're constantly trying to address, discussing enrollment, discussing staffing, and that during all of these, I know I've said we've eliminated some vacant positions and froze some. No staff lost their job during this process. This occurred in our M&O budget, and we have a very defined process that includes our staffing ratios, and which we use when we're growing and we use when we're shrinking. So it's both sides of it. On the front end, we collaborate through an IBA process, and in a worst case scenario, we will use some of our carry forward to cover any of those current year shortfalls. I look at a process as at one that at the very minimum will self-correct every single year because we relook at all the staffing and really build all of that on a year-to-year basis. We do try to address issues before they become, and so they don't snowball all the way to the year, and we make appropriate adjustments. As I mentioned with the vacancies, cutting some of those excess staff and the contingent positions, we handle that. I know there's been some articles and some other stories about some of the other districts and the shortfall issues that they've had. I guess in a very long-winded way, I'm saying we don't have that situation here because of our process and how we work on things and how we constantly look and monitor and adjust. So with that little long-winded explanation to say we're doing a pretty good job, I will go through our budget. So as Dr. Dean said, it is required by law. So we did receive a letter by November 1st from ADE advising us that we're required to revise our budget. Doesn't always happen, and when your numbers are going up, they do not require it. When your numbers go down, they do require it. And as I've always said, as we have a budget revision, we're required to have a public hearing, and here I am. So we'll go through the M&O quickly. Just in general, you can see this is representative of the about $2.8 million reduction, of which about 20, don't know if it's 25 or 28 positions that we did eliminate that were vacant to cover most of it. And we made the appropriate revisions downward in the budget on the expenditure side for the revised budget. And you can see a couple have gone up. We are actually still continuing to grow in our special ed population. And so those expenditures reflect that. Our capital funds, in general, they're going up. The unrestricted capital, just a very minor adjustment from actual carry forward going over into this year. So there was a small $7,000 increase in that one. The building renewal grant, that is the Arizona School Facilities Oversight Board, the AZSFOB. And although it's up to $3 million here, you see additional approvals that the board continues to approve as we continue to submit our recommendations and our applications to the board. I believe this week alone we received 2 additional ones that are in excess of $9 million. So this will probably at our next budget revision be upwards of $13, $14 million. Hopefully the state doesn't run out of money, but once again, that's a positive thing that the state is covering it and not relying on our local budget to have to cover that. Classroom site funds, once again, this is adjustment from our carry forward from actual, because when we're putting together our budget in the summer, it's using projected. And so this is just tying up. And as we always said, unspent money in classroom site fund stays in classroom site fund. This will be caught as this little increase will be caught for our projections when we make them. We get our numbers in March, so we put them together in April, and this will be included in that. Special project funds is the biggest dominating one is our federal. This is where your ESSER funds are, but we also have our title funds, our IDA funds, and a few other federal grants in there. That is going up for our projected of what we're planning on spending or hoping to spend. Not all of it comes to fruition as we have timing and supply chains and other issues, but we're working on that. State grants slightly going up. I believe this is a projection of our results-based funding going up a little bit, so that includes it. Food service looking to hold steady. As always, we put all of our information. For more detailed information, they can get the actual budget on our website. They also can look and see how to contact me or my department, and I would gladly talk to anybody about it. Before we go to questions, I also just wanted to pull up the Rainbow Report. I know sometimes I go quickly through it and don't really talk too much about it. Really, this is just a reminder, this is just a 30,000-foot view of looking at multiple funds and not just looking at one page in there. And then in the bottom half of it, I pull in the Auditor General data that we have historically, and then also what we're projecting for us to be. The biggest takeaway, first, if you look over, you can see transportation, other areas growing faster than other categories. That is by design. Other includes some of the construction and other modifications, which we've been doing, our safety enhancements and modifications, facility improvements, and also our buses that we're purchasing. And so we've been making a more concerted effort to purchase more, so that number is going up. And then if you look at the estimated Auditor General calculation, probably the biggest takeaway that I see from there is if you're looking at our administrative costs, continue to stay in line and below the state average, and as well projected to be below the peer average as well. So we continue to monitor what our administrative costs are to make sure that we're in line with where we should be and not overspending in that area. And so that is the end of the presentation. We could pause for a second in case we have anybody from the public that would like to say a few words. In the action item of our agenda, I will have nothing additional to say at this point. So I'll stand for any questions or comments or for the public.
Thank you. This time, anybody who would like to pose any questions is welcome to come up to the podium. Okay, thank you very much. Not hearing any, we'll continue on with the regular meeting. And that's moving to item C, recognitions and celebrations. Dr. Dean?
Madam President, members of the Governing Board, members of Cabinet, and our community, this evening we are pleased to recognize athletic accomplishments from the high school fall season, and I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Croto.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dean, Cabinet, and guests. It is my privilege tonight and honor to recognize our regional and sectional champions, along with our Coach of the Year and our division gold division winner in the state tournament in badminton. So if I could have the governing board and Dr. Dean come down for some pictures, I'm going to introduce the teams and have them come up and take pictures with you, and we can give them a round of applause. All right, first up, we'd like to invite our Southwest Sectional Champions for boys golf and Shadow Ridge and Coach Scott Liss. Come on up, please. Congratulations.
Hey, who shoots the lowest score? Who has the lowest handicap? This bunch, the gentleman in the hat. What do you shoot? What's your handicap? Yeah, I'm not playing again. All right. I would rather race plays Nelson than win. 16. Oh, you're good. Look here.
All right, another round of applause for Shadow Ridge. Congratulations. Moving on tonight, our 5A Northwest Region champions in football. Willow Canyon, come on up. Willow Canyon is also coached by head coach Justin Stangler. So congratulations. All right, moving on to more regional championships. Our Valley Vista football team are 6A West Valley Region champions. Valley Vista, come on up. The head coach for Valley Vista is Mr. Derek Wallstrom, so congratulations. Good job, coach. All right, moving on again in our regional champions. We'd like to invite up Valley Vista Girls Volleyball, who were the 6A West Valley Region champions. Valley Vista is coached by Mr. David Chavez. Good job, Coach. The awesome thing is you will remember that forever. Congratulations. Now, next up, we have Willow Canyon High School Unified Badminton partners, Nevin Joyce and Tim Caxer, who won the gold division in the state tournament, and their head coach, Kendra Melby. So come on up. Congratulations. And Coach Christine Cook. So congratulations. All right, and moving on, we have some regional and sectional coaches of the year in our district. So first, we want to welcome back up Coach Justin Stengler, the 5A Northwest Region Coach of the Year. Coach Stengler. To join Coach Stengler, we have Coach Derek Wallstrom, who was the 6A West Valley Region Coach of the Year. And one more to join the ranks, Coach David Chavez, who was the 6A West Valley Region Coach of the Year. Come on up. And again, a round of applause for all our recipients tonight. Congratulations, and that concludes our presentation.
soap all over myself. All right, next we will move on to Section D, addressing the governing board, audience with individuals. Ms. Chaffin?
This is the time for the public to comment. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Pursuant to ARS 38-431.01, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. In order to facilitate accomplishing the business of the district in a timely manner, a time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed for each individual or group addressing the board. When you approach the podium, please state your name for the record. We have 2 public comments that are agenda item specific, so we will save those when we get to that agenda item. We have Ms. Marcy Hessler.
Madam President, Governing Board members, members of Cabinet, thank you tonight for allowing me to speak. I'm Marcy Hessler, and my purpose for being here tonight is to publicly thank Tracy Sawyer Sinkbell for an incredible decade plus of service that has just been with a lot of love, a lot of care, and just always having the community, our students, our staff, and everyone around you in mind. And you have done so with so much grace, so much dignity, and I don't know, nothing rattles you, and I wish I could get some of that skill. But you've just been amazing, and it has been an honor, and I am so humbled to have been able to work with you in all these years that we've been together here in Dysart. And happy retirement. I know that you're gonna fill your time with other opportunities to serve the public and serve our community. And like I said, I am just amazed, and you are the epitome of a class act and a role model for all board members across this nation to follow. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm very honored to now call you friend. Have a good night and happy retirement.
Thank you. We next have Andrew Simic.
Good evening, members of the board, staff, and Superintendent Dean. My name is Andy Simic, and I'm here to thank Tracy Sawyer Sinkbell for her service. Tracy Sawyer Sinkbell has been a pillar of the Dysart community since she assumed office in 2011. In her 12 years with Dysart, we have seen this district grow and change in previously unimaginable ways. Her leadership, her strength, her kindness will never be forgotten. Tracy has been the example of a servant leader, someone who puts the kids and the teachers of this district first before any other priority. I remember a story my mom told me about Tracy when she first interviewed for the governing board position. She brought a spark plug with her, and she said that she wanted to be the spark that would ignite Dysart to new heights. Well, Miss Tracy, your spark will never be forgotten here. Thank you for everything that you've done, and happy retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. We next have Russ Smith.
Good evening to all of you, and thank you for this 3 minutes. How am I going to do this? I actually met Tracy in this room a few years ago at another event honoring the school system. And Tracy, I say to everyone, which probably is not a surprise, you are an outlier. You don't deliberately or rebelliously break rules, but you change rules. You create new boundaries. I today took the time to scroll several pages back in the F word, the Facebook page. And your Facebook is one of the few Facebooks that's authentic. It's one of the few Facebooks that really shows the struggles and the successes, the victories and the failures of life. You're very open, you're very transparent, and you use that in such a redeeming way. And I looked through your page and I saw that you are so strong. You've broken so many racial barriers. You've broken social barriers in terms of the female versus male. You're constantly posting for others. Would you remember, or please pray for? You're sure to put something in there about the community and your love for what you've done here in the last 12 years. And so this community is blessed to have you, and this board has been honored to have you serve. And I agree, you will find something to fill your time from here. I'm certain it will continue to be an outlier influence. And I'm blessed to be a part of your life. And I hold great gratitude for the night that I met you here and that our paths have crossed. And may you never cave in to being somebody that you're not. You've got a strong track record of holding true to being a woman of integrity and strength and leadership, even your influence of your CPR training. So I congratulate you on your tenure. I'm excited for what's next for you, and I'm honored to be a part of your life. God bless you.
Thank you. That's all we have for now.
Superintendent and Governing Board updates. Do we have a student update?
Madam President, our student was unable to attend this evening.
Okay. We'll move to Superintendent update. Dr. Dean.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board, members of Cabinet, and our community. Tracy, the first thing I need to say is it sounds like your pastor's lobbying for you to come work for him. So I just wanted to point that out and to work with him. On a bit of a somber note, in terms of my update, we were saddened by the loss late yesterday afternoon, of 2 of our Valley Vista students. And I would be remiss if we did not mention that their families and all of our staff are in our thoughts and prayers. And we will uphold them and continue to support and provide support in any way that we possibly can. So we'll move forward. Willow Canyon High School's theater troupe won the Gold Honor Troupe last weekend at their competition, and Shadow Ridge High School won a superior rating in the one-act marathon for the play Biscuits. And so we're very excited about our theater programs. Congratulations. And we look forward to our theater programs continuing to do great jobs. I want to provide just a bit of clarification to the governing board, and I know I did this in writing following our last meeting, but I feel like it's important that I do so in public as well. I did misspeak in our last governing board meeting as it related to our counselors and their responsibilities as it relates to 504s. Our counselors do facilitate the 504 process, and I wanted to just make sure that I corrected that with everyone this evening. Continuing on, we are excited to announce that our glass project in our front offices has been completed at all of our K-8, K-4, and middle schools. And we're happy that that's happened. And we had our first high school completed as well at Valley Vista. And it certainly makes a very big visual difference and a perceptive difference as well. We have the remaining high schools are scheduled for completion, as well as Growing Minds Preschool, our support center, and the last facility that will be finished will be the district office. I also would like to, board, I've let you know this, but I think it's important that we announce to our community as well. Dr. Croto was selected to serve on the transition team for the incoming state superintendent of public instruction, Tom Horn. And Dr. Croto has attended a couple of meetings thus far and will continue to serve as a resource to them and more importantly, as a proud representative of the Dysart School District. So Dr. Croto, thank you for doing that. And then we have just a quick thing we want to say. Tracy, it's been 12 years since I met you. I was 23 at the time, I remember distinctly. And we thought about how we could mimic 12 years and make people feel like it was 12 years. And the first thing we thought of was to have Ken speak again. And we chose not to. But Tracy, I want to, on behalf of the Dysart School District, I want to say thank you for all that you've done. All of you know that being on the governing board is a sacrifice of time. It's a sacrifice away from your family. There are times that it is a very thankless job. It is one of few service opportunities in a governmental system that comes with no pay whatsoever. And it truly is a labor of and a sacrifice of love. And I know that each of the 5 of you know that. Tracy, we want to thank you for everything that you've done for us in this school district. It seems like a blink of an eye, 12 years. It's an opportunity that we will never forget, having you been part of all of our lives. And so we want to thank you in just 2 ways tonight. First of all, any leftover food that's still out in the reception, we want you to take home. It might not still be good, it might be bad, but we want it out of here. So send Brian out and start boxing it up. But we want to thank you with 2 things. We have just a gift that says cheers to you and thank you for your service with the Dysart community from 2010 to 2022. But more importantly than that, you know, anybody can get a plaque on a wall, and we felt like it was important for us to give you a memoir of the Dysart School District. And so we have a blanket that we've had made for you that has a T-shirt from every single one of our schools on it. And we hope that you will display this proudly in your home and remember the times that you served in the Dysart School District fondly. So, Tracy, thank you very, very, very much.
What a nice idea.
And finally,
More?
And finally, I would like to wish all of our staff, all of our students, and our entire community Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year and Happy Holidays. I think I covered them all. But we want to wish you a joyous and peaceful holiday season. And may you spend time with family and friends and truly reflect on the reason that we have for the season. And Madam President, that is my update for the evening.
We'll move on to governing board update. I'll go first, because I know you're going to talk. Let's see here. I attended band jam at Shadow Ridge High School, and this morning I attended a great event as the A School celebration at El Mirage Elementary, and that was just so much fun, and congratulations to that school. Tracy, it has been an honor to serve with you, and a former board member asked me to read this statement because she could not attend tonight. Tracy has been an amazing board member, an asset to the Dysart Unified School District. She is dedicated in her service and is a tremendous advocate for public education. I was lucky to work side by side with her for 8 years. In that time, I witnessed her love for each school, her desire to be at every celebration, her well-thought-out comments on board topics and discussions, her quest and continual knowledge and professional development, and most important, a friend and listening ear to everyone. She's done all this through health issues and extremely difficult family hardships. She is selfless and just keeps trucking. Tracy, I appreciate all your hard work over these years, and it was a pleasure to serve shoulder to shoulder with you and to learn from you. Your voice on the board will be missed. Best of luck on your next adventure, Jennifer Tanner.
Last time I want to push this. Okay, so I had one thing, I think, and that was to echo the sentiments of Dr. Dean. The prayers and thoughts go to the families affected by the vehicle crash yesterday. Not only does it affect the families, but it also affects the community as a whole. And please keep the families and the Valley Vista family in your thoughts. Children leaving this earth too soon it can be hard on everyone. I also attended the A School breakfast celebration at El Mirage, and it was an awesome celebration. Thank you to Southwest Foods, yay. Their stuff is always great, so congratulations to Ms. Davis, Mr. Haney, and the fabulous staff at El Mirage. You deserve the success, and looking forward to the breakfasts. There's a couple of them that's going to be next week, and I plan on being there. And finally, thank you, Dysart, for allowing me to serve you over these past 12 years. So many people have asked me, what am I going to do with my Thursday nights? I'll find something. One of the things I plan on doing is taking sign language, learning something totally different, and it's going to be kind of hard, but I will continue to reach out to the schools. You're not done with me. I just might not be sitting up here on the dais, but I would still like to come out and attend the events and the dance recitals and the celebrations and different events. And so if you need to get in touch with me, Luisa's got my contact info. 12 years ago, during the election, I lost my son. A month before the elections took place, and so I did not campaign, and my heart just was not in it. And to win, to me, that was a sign from above, from my son. And so I'm leaving the district after 12 years. It's kind of odd. I started in this position, and each year the president of the board has the duty if they wish to move people around. So, Ms. Pritchard, thank you for putting me back over here. I greatly appreciate it because I started here, I ended here. I would like to thank so many different people from the district, whether it was staff, students, and parents. It has been a ride. There's been good times, there's been bad times, but we've all done it together as a family, and I so appreciate that. So thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of Dysart. I greatly appreciate it. I move the governing board approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second. Motion made by Tracy Sawyer-Sinkbell, seconded by Crystal Chapin. Motion carries. So we move to action discussion items H1, recommendation to approve the appointment of Assistant Superintendent for Education Services. Dr. Dean?
Madam President, members of the Governing Board, members of Cabinet, and our community this evening, I am pleased to provide a recommendation to the Governing Board to finalize the Cabinet for this administrative team. Upon removal of the interim tag in my position in October, we were excited to begin the process to finalize the hire of the Assistant Superintendent for Education Services. And we'd like to thank Dr. Shelley Asai, who has served in that position as interim during this time. However, this evening, after an interview process, we are proud to recommend to the Governing Board the full-time appointment of Dr. Shelley Asai as the Assistant Superintendent for Education Services, and again, the completion of this administrator team. And so it's our pleasure this evening to recommend Dr. Asai for hire.
I do have a question. Are we going to insert the marathon clause into her contract as well?
I have no problem with inserting the marathon clause into anyone else's contract except for mine.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Just one quick one. Congratulations, fellow warrior. I just found out that we went to the same high school, so congratulations.
All right, with that, I move the board approve the appointment of Dr. Shelley Asai as Assistant Superintendent for Education Services.
Second.
Motion made by Christine Pritchard, seconded by Don Densmore. Motion carries. Congratulations. Next, we move to H2, recommendation to approve administrative, certificated, and licensed employee contract language and benefit packages for the 2023-2024 school year. Dr. Dean?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board, Cabinet, and our community. This evening, I will turn this item over to Dr. Poling.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. Madam President, members of the board, cabinet, and community, it's hard to believe we're already planning for the 23-24 school year, and we're in full motion and preparation. This is an annual item, and it's asking for approval of the contract language and benefits packages. There are minimal changes, and they have been approved by our attorney, Jennifer McLennan. And with that, I'll take any questions.
I do have a question or comment on the certified teacher contract. If you look at item number 14, it says teacher agrees to teach such grade, grades, or subject as the teacher may be assigned to teach, and to perform other such duties as may be assigned. My concern with the language of the other such duties as may be assigned is our teachers getting assigned a bunch of extra duties. Like some teachers have before school duty, they have after school duty, they don't get their duty-free 30-minute lunch. Teachers are expected, not required, to attend a bunch of evening events. And anybody who's been in the classroom knows that once you step foot on campus, it's nonstop until you leave. So we've got teachers, some teachers stepping foot on campus from 6:30, not leaving till 3:30, or 7 o'clock and not leaving till 4, and then we want them to come back for a bunch of extra night activities. We've got Chick-fil-A night, we've got McDonald's night, they've got the Fall Festival, they've got Polar Express. It's like, it's never ending, so I'm concerned that our teachers are gonna get burned out, and every single time, no, it's not required, but this is how they get us. Other duties as assigned. So that's kind of a concern for me, for our teachers, because we keep hearing that they're burned out, and I can attest that when you go nonstop all day, the last thing you wanna do is go do something else at night.
Madam President, Member Chapin, I'll be happy to comment on this. First of all, I want to say that I'm a big fan of any restaurant night, and I think that they're important things. But I understand the concern, and we share the concern that we want to protect our teachers and their energy and their vigor and excitement for what it is that their primary responsibility is, and that is of teaching. And we have worked with our principals and will continue to work with and have conversations to try to minimize aspects that are outside of the classroom. We want the vast majority of their energy in the classroom with our kids. And while there may be a duty or two that's part of a daily responsibility, we certainly don't want to do anything that's burning them out. And so you have our word that we have been and will continue to work with our school principals to help them find ways to cover things that continue to free up our teachers to do the excellent work that they do in their classrooms.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. And it would be nice in a dream world if we could just pay teachers for the teacher duties, because otherwise we're paying people with master's degree salaries to open milk boxes at breakfast, and we've got instead of teaching and grading and calling home and working with students, we've got teachers running around doing this, doing that. They're doing this duty, they're doing that duty, and somebody's out, so this para is being pulled for that. And so I just want to make sure that, especially with our paras, that they're not being pulled to do other duties as assigned.
point taken, I think we're on the same page on this. So thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments from the board? I move the board approve administrative certificated and licensed employee contract language and benefit packages for the 2023-2024 school year. Motion made by Christine Pritchard, seconded by Tracy Sawyer-Sinkbell. Motion carries. Next, we move to action discussion item 3, recommendation for renewal of eligible and administrative certificated and licensed staff and authorization to issue employment contracts for the 2023-2024 school year. Dr. Dean.
Madam President, members of the governing board, cabinet, and our community, Dr. Poling.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. Madam President, members of the board, cabinet, and community, this item is in concert with the previous item. This is another annual item, and we're asking approval for eligible certificated and licensed staff for reemployment and authorize the issuance of employment contracts. Our timeline for issuing contracts is very similar to last year. We would release certificated contracts February 17th of 2023 and have them due back by Friday, March 10th of 2023. And this timeline will allow us to remain at the front of the competitive employment market, identify vacant openings, and search for new hires in a timely manner. And contracts would be due back April 14th of 2023, due back Friday, March 10th. Staff can get out of their contract without liquidated damages by April 14th of 2023, and that date has been moved up 2 weeks to allow us more time for recruiting and identify open positions, but teachers would still have from the time of March 10th until April 14th to get out of their contract without paying liquidated damages. And administrative timeline, those contracts would be released February 9th, due back by March 10th, and have the similar April 14th deadline, and pay liquidated damages after that. So I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions or comments from the board? I move the board approve eligible certificated and licensed staff for reemployment and authorize the issuance of employment contracts for the 2023-2024 school year. Motion made by Christine Pritchard, seconded by Tracy Sawyer-Sinkbell.
Madam President, members of the governing board, cabinet, and our community, Dr. Poling will present this item as well.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. Madam President, members of the board, cabinet, and community, this is another annual item, and it's similar to the previous item you just approved, but it's for classified staff. So we're asking approval of the notice of employment language. And again, these have minimal changes, and they've been approved by our attorney.
Madam President, members of the governing board, cabinet, and our community, this will be the last item that Dr. Poling presents this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. Madam President, members of the board, cabinet, and community, this is another annual item, and it's attached in concert with the previous item. And this is asking approval of the issuance of notices of employment to eligible classified staff for their positions for 2023-2024.
Questions or comments from the board? I move the board approve the issuance of notices of employment to eligible classified staff in their current positions at the 2023-2024 salary level with benefits commensurate with the position.
Second.
Motion made by Christine Pritchard, seconded by Don Densmore. Motion carries. Next, we move to action discussion. Item 6, recommendation to approve 2022-2023 revised expenditure budget. Dr. Dean.
Madam President, members of the Governing Board, Cabinet, and our community, Mr. Hicks will present the remainder of this information. Mr. Hicks, do you have anything to add? Very good. Madam President, we request approval of the revised expenditure budget.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? I move the board approve the 2022-2023 revised expenditure budget.
Second.
Motion made by Christine Pritchard, seconded by Tracy Sawyer Sinkbell. Motion carries. Next, we move to action discussion. Item 7, discussion and possible action and temporarily suspend policy 2.19, school board policy process for the December 8th, 2022 meeting. Dr. Dean.
Madam President, members of the Governing Board, Cabinet, and our community this evening, as we have discussed in previous sessions, including our study session today, in order for us to take action and make decisions on our policies in one meeting, we are requesting that we temporarily suspend policy 2.19 from our current board policy, which would require us to have 2 reads for policy to make any changes. We ask, over 2 meetings, I'm sorry. We ask that we suspend that policy this evening so that we may consider action on our policies in one meeting in the next agenda item.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? I move the board temporarily suspend policy section 2.19 school board policy process for the December 8th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Christine Pritchard, seconded by Don Densmore. Motion carries. So to action discussion item 8, repeal of governing board policy sections 1 through 12 and adoption of the trust policy model. Dr. Dean.
Madam President, members of the Governing Board, members of Cabinet, and our community, as we've discussed in multiple settings as well as today during the study session, we are recommending the repeal of our current Governing Board policies, sections 1 through 12, and the adoption of the trust policy model. In so doing, this will sever any remaining ties with ASBA as it relates to policy and policy services, and will move us forward in the adoption of a new policy model. As has been discussed with the Governing Board as well in the study session, we will continue to go back and review our policies to make sure that we add meat to the bones that we're asking to be adopted this evening. And we will once again in July begin our process of policy review where we will be reviewing a chapter each month as we have in the past. And so this evening we would request that the board approve repealing policy sections 1 through 12 and adopting new policies with the trust policy model.
We do have 2 people that requested to speak to the item. Ms. Schaffner, if you want to read the statement.
This is the time for the public to comment. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Pursuant to ARS 38-431.01, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. In order to facilitate accomplishing the business of the district in a timely manner, a time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed for each individual or group addressing the board. When you approach the podium, please state your name for the record. We have Janet LeBlanc.
Hi, good evening. I'm Janet LeBlanc. And as a tax-paying citizen of this district, I do not support any language in these policies that state gender identity or sexual orientation. It's time to get this right. I am asking on behalf of parents and our community that you not approve these policies as written. There are only 2 genders, male and female, regardless of how anyone might identify. Any other exception is false teaching, and I believe none of you want to teach anything that is false. If I tell you I identify as a dog and even dress like a dog or act like a dog or bark like a dog, does it make me a dog? No. And if you believe that or even entertain the fact to allow me to believe and act like a dog, then you become part of the problem. Please quit entertaining and promoting false teachings within this district by incorporating this language into any policy. By doing so, each of you are guilty of twisting the minds of our children and creating, yes, creating mental illness. And then it's no wonder we need social workers and have behavior issues. Please quit polluting the minds of our children by allowing them to live in fantasy land through the adoption of these policies. Jesus tells us specifically in Matthew 18:6, if you cause one of these little ones who trust in me to fall into sin, it would be better for you to have a large millstone tied around your neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. Please examine your conscience and moral code and remove this language out of all these policies and district policies and stop promoting the unrealistic fact that there are more than two genders. We all know there are only two. Facts show it, DNA proves it. Please teach the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Larry LeBlanc.
Good evening, I'm Larry LeBlanc. I wish to make it clear that I echo every word from Janet. To further add, stop indoctrinating our children by acknowledging gender identity. In truth, it doesn't exist. One man, one woman. It's God's law that is not to be broken. Please do not approve these policies or anything that is heading this way of similar character. Thank you.
Madam President, members of the governing board, the trust policy models that are being asked to be approved this evening have been created by the Risk Retention Trust, which serves multiple school districts in the state of Arizona. All policies have been written by attorneys and reflect law. I'm not aware of any aspect of any of the policies that we're asking you to adopt this evening that are related to any gender identity curriculum, gender identity teachings, or gender identity conversations.
I didn't see what you just said, but there is something in there. I think it was the civil rights piece in the student section. I just did a quick search as they were speaking. And there is something that states you cannot discriminate against someone based on their gender identity. But I didn't see anything in any other way supporting that.
Madam President, Ms. Densmore, you are correct that we cannot, federal law prohibits
Right.
discrimination of any kind whatsoever. I appreciate the concerns of those that have been voiced this evening. However, it is my understanding that those concerns are not found in these policies that we're adopting.
I didn't see it. As we go through the policies, though, I mean, beginning in next year,
And Madam President, Ms.
we'll
Densmore.
be very diligent about that.
Madam President, Ms. Densmore, again, I appreciate the conversations this evening by Mr. and Ms. LeBlanc. Thank you very much for your comments, and we certainly understand the concern. As we discussed in the study session, what we're asking for adoption this evening are the bones of the trust policy. We will spend the next 6 months doing even a deeper dive than Cabinet has already, of going through and making sure that we fill any holes in the policy process, and we will bring those forward, to the board in the next 6 months, and then begin our review cycle in July. However, Ms. Densmore, as you state, should we uncover anything in which we have not seen or see anything that is concerning in terms of any type of discriminatory piece, we would bring that back for revision.
Any other questions, comments?
Then I move to motion to repeal all current Dysart Governing Board policies within sections 1 through 12, effective December 31st, 2022, and adopt the trust policy model and policies within chapters 1 through 5, with changes discussed in the study session effective January 1, 2023.
Second.
Motion made by Tracy Sawyer-Sinkbell, seconded by Don Densmore.
Joe Grant.
Oh, Joe Grant, sorry.
We sound alike.
I got confused. Motion carries. We move to action discussion item 9, discussion and possible action to approve superintendent's performance pay plan for the services of Superintendent Jim Dean pursuant to ARS 15-34139. Dr. Dean.
Madam President, members of the governing board, members of cabinet, and our community, this is the final piece that needed to be approved within my contract. It is the exhibit for the pay for performance piece. It mirrors the past two superintendents in terms of this piece, with one exception, and that is that instead of the formulaic piece of the pay for performance being tied to 301 performance, it is tied to the number of A and B schools that we have moving forward.
Anyone have any questions or comments? I move the board approve the superintendent's performance-based pay plan.
Second.
Motion made by Christine Pritchard, seconded by Tracy Sawyer-Sinkbell. Motion carries. Next, item I, request for future agenda items.
I would like to request an agenda item to just review what the current practice is for our documentation of meeting minutes.
Got it. Thank you.
Can I second? I will second.
Don't you dare vote no.
Oh, wait. There it is.